Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. I'm Dylan Heisen, and welcome to our 500th podcast celebration. Woo, it's been 500 podcasts. Can't believe it here at Overly Animated. Been going strong for coming up on 2.5 years now, podcasting about everything animation, and we've reached 500. To celebrate, I will be taking you through a clip show, everyone's favorite, featuring some best of clips from our first 499 podcasts. So I'm going to be joined sequentially by Sam, Delaney, Michelle, and Justin. And I'll be playing clips that they are on, some notable ones, and we'll get their reactions to it, and we'll talk about it being 500 podcasts. So not talking about animation today, just kind of a meta, overly animated podcast. Of course, find us at overlyanimated.com. Can't imagine this is anyone's first podcast, but there's the website plug. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this. It was I've already recorded the segments you're about to hear. It was a lot of fun to get into it with some of our original co-hosts. So some notes before we get into things. I'm going to be focusing on some older clips throughout this. I'm basically tabling most things from 2017. And just focusing on stuff before we had a more recent co-host and host expansion. So we have a lot of new people on board now. Things are a lot different. And I'm going to save some of the newer highlights for whatever our next milestone podcast is. So we're just going to highlight some of the older lost gems here. Another note, some of these clips are slightly edited, but I say whatever podcast they're from before we get into it, so you can check those old ones out if you want on the site. We do have a search function at overlyanimated.com on the right side. It's an easy way to find some of these ones we're discussing. Big shout outs and thank yous to Alex Bonilla and Andy Potter, who helped so much find a lot of the clips you're about to hear. A lot of work hunting down through past podcasts. I know Alex went through a lot of our old podcasts and found some really good clips we're going to highlight for you guys. So big thank yous to those guys. And this idea is a pretty blatant ripoff of Rob Has a Podcast, my favorite podcast, and other than us, of course, I guess. But so yeah, big shout outs to Rob Sesternino. He did this for his 1,000th and I think 2,000th podcast. I listened to his 2,000th with this format, and I really liked it. So I'm basically trying this exact same thing. So let's get into it. So let's start things off here by bringing in Sam Quattro. Hi, Sam. How you doing?
Hey, I'm okay. Dylan, how are you?
Good. Welcome to the 500th podcast.
Wow, thanks.
Yeah, what do you think about us reaching 500?
Surprising, I guess. I don't know. That's a lot of podcasts.
Expecting you to say too many podcasts.
I mean, I don't know if it's too many. I'm pretty sure somebody out there has had more podcasts than that, but not us, so.
Yeah, definitely an all-time high for us. That is true. Sam is an original Overly Animated co-host.
Wow.
And former From the Spirit World co-host back when me and several other people had an Avatar and Korra podcast. So I've been podcasting with Sam for a long while. And
almost 10 years.
Yeah.
It's been 9 years.
Yeah, I think From the Spirit World's 10 years old, and then Sam came in a year after, right? So
yeah,
that's quite a long time there. But Sam and I have had several podcasts throughout our run here. A lot with just us. I think I have 2 clips of just us talking. You've also been on other ones, but I think the first clip I wanna play for you, Sam, is something we talked about a lot of obscure things here on the Overly Animated podcast, including Anomalisa, the stop motion adult film that we talked about in the lead up to the Oscar race that year. This is from January 5th, 2016, our podcast 96. You'd think this would be some sort of crazy clip, but no, this is like a good manifesto, I feel like, for Overly Animated. So, during our discussion for this film, we got into the differences between the capabilities of live action and animation, and how animation as a medium is being underutilized. Interesting. Okay, so let's take a listen here.
What does this film do that live action can't, or maybe they both can, and how more traditional animation can do it too.
So live action captures a moment, like a human moment that happens. Animation sort of captures the like an imaginary moment, like something that is like I don't know, something more man-made than like organic human motion. You know what I mean?
One of my biggest differences when I think of this is that animation has like no limitations, whereas live action a lot of times does.
I definitely think about that too. Yeah.
But here's the thing: does stop motion for sure has limitations? I feel like that are not placed on different types of animation. I'm really interested in like the difference in how these different mediums like manifest narrative and limitations surrounding narrative, and how they may be better or less equipped for dealing with certain types of narrative. And in my mind, this, if you're looking at it from that perspective, this is very much different than like computer animation or hand-drawn animation. And both of these are very much also different from live action. And I'm not sure specifically how the relation to narrative is for all of them. And I think it's really interesting that this manifested from the stop motion.
It's sort of just like looking at like it's the same thing with art. Like you have an idea and you think, well, how do I want to manifest this in a medium? Like, do I want to make this a painting? Do I want to make this a sculpture? It's the same thing. Like you look at a narrative, you look at a script, and maybe like not all directors think this, or not all like studios think this, but there has to be a question maybe sometimes like, how do I want to manifest this? I want to make it live action? Do I want to make it animation? Like,
yeah, and
but then again, like there's sometimes where like it's specifically written to be a certain kind.
And I think people never ask that question in modern film, and I think it's a big limitation that we're imposing on our stories. I think animation is not being explored to the depths that it could be because people don't consider it a serious choice for serious narratives. They just default to live action, whereas we might be able to explore like really different types of more intricate, more abstract types of narratives through animation.
Yeah, maybe this will be a helpful.
And I hope this pushes us towards adult films being considering animation to execute their narratives. And even if it's children oriented, that's not really a distinguisher to me. It's just like it shouldn't just be like these two animation studios that make films. So like in Japan, some of the biggest movies of the year are animated, and they're a lot of times aimed at adults, and their comic books can be aimed at adults, their animes can be aimed at adults, right? We don't have this limitation that we impose on animation here in America. Not that Japan is the pinnacle of like non-societal impositions, but in this instance, I feel like explore this medium in ways that we do not here.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, there you go, Sam.
Wow, that was very astute.
Deep, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Well, I guess we were right. I like what I said about how people don't consider mediums when they think about film.
Yeah. I think it's really good. And 2 years later, I don't really think that this has changed much.
Wow, it's like nobody listened to us. Nobody listened to this really obscure podcast that we did about like a really obscure movie.
Yeah, they should have just listened to the hour into our Anomalisa coverage. That was the key, and maybe then the film industry would be fixed. No, but I thought that was great, and probably I think the best attempt we've ever gotten into getting into this, like people not taking animation as a medium as like a choice seriously in our 500 podcast. So there you go. That's our first clip. Not all of these are going to be that serious, but I thought that was a good way to start us off here. But Sam, this next clip for the Sam segment is probably maybe my favorite moment in the history of overly animated.
Really? That's a lot. That's like a real big pressure thing right now for me.
I mean, it's already been chosen. I don't think you have to do anything right now. It already happens, but it was great. This was when we came up with the idea for a clip show. This was the first clip I thought of, and this is for me and you talking about the season 4 Steven Universe shorts from October 6th, 2016, podcast 259. So when discussing a Steven Universe short where Steven records a reaction video to Crying Breakfast Friends, we improv what the hypothetical overly animated coverage of Crying Breakfast Friends might look like.
Wow, spoiler.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have the setup to understand what we're doing, because we're getting right into it. So here you go. All right, Sam, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast. I'm Dylan and this is Sam, and today we're going to be talking about the latest episode of Crying Breakfast Friends, Party Crashers. Sam, what did you think of Party Crashers?
Well, I thought it was all right. I don't know. There could have been less crying, but
less crying. Have you even seen the show, Sam? This is
I have, yeah, but it's every
week. It's crying.
I know. It just gets to be too much sometimes.
Too much crying. That's a hot take from Sam here. You know, I think this was too simplistic of a plot. And I know you guys get mad at me when I take the narrative of Crying Breakfast Friends too seriously, but I feel like we went too quickly from this party setup with great character building from our heroes into the introduction of lunch. And what a big moment for this series. And yet, and yet it happens instantaneously after big character moments. I really feel like this episode suffered from pacing issues.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. 3 out of 10. What do you say, Sam? On a scale of 10?
Yeah, I agree. 3
out of 10. Wow, rare agreement from on our Crying Breakfast Friends podcast. Yeah, so lunch confirmed, Sam. What do we think is going to happen next? Dinner?
Yeah, maybe we'll find dinner or like a midnight snack.
Will this brunch combination last?
I don't know. This is so stupid.
Okay.
Did breakfast for dinner.
Oh, wow. What a theory. Breakfast for that changes everything.
That's my new theory. I think dinner's going to come in and they're going to be like, oh, we're dinner. And they're going to be like suave and like, all sexy and stuff. And they're going to be like, oh, Crying Breakfast Friends. Oh, we're dinner. Wow. I'm corn on the cob or something.
Wow. Let us know your comments about Sam's breakfast for dinner theory. Okay. See you next time, guys. Bye.
Bye.
And scene. Okay, good. Okay, there we go.
Dylan just sprang that on me.
Okay, there you go. Sam.
Did you actually spring that on me, or did we talk about it before?
No, we didn't. I just thought of that when we were recording that podcast. Yeah. That's our improv. The one time we've done improv on Overly Animated. I'm surprised I haven't tried that again. Us talking about a podcast of a fictional show. Like, there's a lot of fictional shows within the shows we cover, so we could definitely do that. But yeah, that I love that one.
It just makes me feel like I just talk the same way all the time about everything, no matter what it is.
I mean, we were parodying ourselves, so
I know,
I think that makes sense. But yeah, so there you go. That's the Sam and I improving on Steven Universe. Okay, Sam. So, that 500 podcast. Thanks for joining us here.
No prob, Bob.
Okay, now we're joined by Delaney Stovall. Hello, Delaney.
Hey, y'all.
The classic Delaney greeting, yeah. Delaney, another original Overly Animated co-host and former From the Spirit World co-host. Delaney, you've almost certainly you've definitely been on the most podcasts as a co-host, potentially as much as like half of these 500. What do you think about that?
I mean, I know I've definitely since you started to cover more, I've stepped back.
Yeah.
Because I don't watch
for
everything.
A while. It was way over half. Now it's cooled off a little, but
now it's more like this is more manageable.
Right? Yeah. So
it's more of a treat.
We have help now. Yeah. So yeah. But we're talking mostly stuff from the non-help era. So we're gonna get into some old stuff here. But what do you think about 500, Delaney? 500th podcast.
I'm honestly I'm shocked. I just remember being on From the Spirit World and there it was the 100th podcast and all this stuff. And and we were on Korra, and I was on 2 seasons of 3.5 seasons of Korra. It's just so funny. Podcasts used to be hour and a half, 2 hours. We had 3-hour podcasts. We had 6 hours of Korra finale coverage. Yeah. And then now to be on Overly Animated, and I remember it was not that long ago that we had just reached 100 podcasts on Overly Animated, and now we're at 500. We were talking about it, and I was like, what? What do you mean we're already at 500? We just recorded the 250th one, a while ago. I remember recording that one.
Yeah, it's 500 in like 4 months is kind of nonsense. So
I mean, it's crazy, which, I mean, it's great. I mean, we cover so much now, and that's really, you know, that was always like your goal.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always nice to talk about like a bunch of different shows.
yeah, this is definitely the original intent, was to shorter podcasts, more frequent on rather than From the Spirit World, where we were just weekly longer ones. I definitely did not expect to do this many though, this fast.
We've had so many, like, I'm shocked. I mean,
yeah.
I've just been podcasting for 5 years. Like, I started when I was 16. I just turned 21 in July, and I'm like, we've done so many podcasts, and like, I joined From the Spirit World, but I have been a part of Overly Animated from the beginning. And to already be at this point, it's like, oh my God, like the baby that has grown up so fast. Like,
yeah, taking off a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. And like, we have so many more hosts, and there's just so many different things going on. Like, used to, I mean, I had my hands in everything.
Yeah,
because I'm very much your like right hand man, and it's just like now I'm like I don't know what's going on half the time, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It's nice.
Yeah, I think we both agree that it's mostly a good thing that we're not just us two.
Yeah, I don't need to be in everything. Like,
yeah. But let's preserve the Dylan and Delaney covered everything era. I have three instances of us doing just everything. So this is what I wanted to get into in a Delaney segment. So it's like, yeah, we just covered a million things, and
everything.
I have 3 separate instances here. So let's start things off. I was trying to think of like what was our like most prominent opinion between the two of us that we've ever had. And I think for the most part, we're very like steady, and there aren't like obvious highlights. But this was my choice for the big, like the thing we're most known for expressing on the podcast, which is back in volume 3 of RWBY.
How did I know? I know what it is.
The second to last episode. Yeah. The Adam from the show. And I don't know if you, we're recording this, the second episode of the most recent RWBY volume. I don't know if you even watched that episode, but,
I haven't.
Okay.
I know from things you've said on the Discord that I've seen I'm gonna be mad about it.
Yeah. So I chose this clip well before, anything recently happened on RWBY, but, yeah, Delaney and I, see, a lot of times we get critical at Overly Animated, usually more so with RWBY. And we've had our fair share of rants, but many from like socially progressive stands. I think this is our most prominent rant, was our vitriol towards the scene of Adam crippling Blake at the end of season 3 of RWBY. This is from February 7th, 2016, podcast 111. So
Jesus.
Let's take a listen to this.
Contrastly, everything that happened with Adam in this episode is horrible, awful, sexist, and I hate it. So
it was just exactly.
So like what it
was everything I didn't want, and it all happened.
It's just so obviously awful. How do Miles and Carrie like write that scene and think, oh, like we'll introduce some dumb, stupidly overpowered male character who's going to pseudo trigger warnings here for rape and sexual assault. Who's going to pseudo rape our strong female leads. Like, it's just so dumb. Why would they do that? This is the worst. It makes no internal logic sense. Everything with auras is thrown out the window, which is what you referenced earlier. And like I've seen fans upset about that who don't have the same sense of moral compass that we do. And it's like it's so awful. Why that scene is the worst. And it's like I wasn't surprised that they did that.
Yeah, that's the sad thing.
It made sense. You always knew they were going to do something with Adam, but it's like, oh, I didn't think they'd just make Adam just be able to destroy our leads for no reason. Why do we have auras? I don't get it.
None of it makes like. That is my biggest problem with this episode, is that this episode is honestly the culmination of kind of everything that's wrong with the show.
The culmination of everything that is wrong with the show, Delaney, yeah. And it keeps going. It was that I just picked a minute out of it, but that, yeah.
Oh no, I remember. Yeah. We just yelled like this whole like we made you just like rip this episode to shreds, and we were just so mad. Yeah. That to me, that episode is like the darkest stain on RWBY.
Yeah, when it basically happened again this week on RWBY, and
oh great, I can't wait.
And in reference to the volume 3, I called it the worst thing that's happened on any show we've covered. I think that's clearly true. So
100%. Like I think about that, and it just makes me so mad.
Yeah, and by the way, we like RWBY.
We do like RWBY. Okay. Also, more context. Blake is my favorite character, and like, what the heck? Yeah. Like, why?
So yeah, we were not happy, but that was so Delaney and I volumes 3 and 4 covered all of RWBY. We also covered just us season 2 of Rick and Morty back in the day.
Okay, I was like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, this is very early on.
That was back in the day.
Yeah,
like
August 31st, 2015. This is from the Ricks Must Be Crazy podcast, number 38. So yeah, we've covered
We're going far back.
We've covered a lot of shows, just the two of us. But back in 2015, we talked about all of season 2 of Rick and Morty. One line in particular from the Ricks Must Be Crazy intrigued us. So let's take a listen to this. Let's talk about 11 9/11s. Is this 11 terrorist events on 9/11 different years, or is this just things that are colloquially referred to as 9/11s?
It has to be either way. I don't know. And I'm assuming it's the spiders. Like, the spiders are doing these things. So,
That's a good point. Are the spiders the terrorists in...
Yeah, do we have, like, a war on terror, but it's a war on telepathic spiders?
That's a good point. We're thinking about this throwaway line way too much, but I feel like these questions must be asked. Okay, so that was my pick from the from our Rick and Morty coverage. Still your like favorite Rick and Morty episode, right? So that's very relevant here.
Right, yeah, no, I'm trying to remember what the heck is 11, like, I don't even remember that.
It was just a very fast line of that episode, yeah.
Like, I kind of remember that, and I'm like, what? I'm not shocked. Me in particular, I like to get fixated on the details. It's like when we covered Gravity Falls, and it was like, Dylan, why don't you notice Mabel's sweater every episode?
Oh yeah, we could have taken Gravity Falls clips. Oh, there's a lot of stuff we could have taken from. I didn't end up picking any Gravity Falls, but oh man. Yeah,
literally, there could be like a whole 30-minute segment of just me being like, Dylan, this is the importance of this sweater, and like,
that's good.
Literally every podcast you don't notice.
Yeah, we should have done the Mabel sweater montage. I don't know if I would have put the time into that, but that is a good one.
That would have taken so long.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah, forgot we covered Gravity Falls a lot. I often forget that.
Well, that was forever
more
ago.
Than any other show. I'll probably forget that, but that did happen. Let's stay very far back. And one other thing you're probably not expecting me to bring up here is our coverage of Over the Garden Wall.
Okay, yeah.
Way back in the day. Yeah, someone suggested that they really liked our Over the Garden Wall coverage. So this is from our podcast on the finale from August 28th, 2015. So right around that time, the 37th podcast. One of the best shows we've covered was Over the Garden Wall. In our discussion, there's not this clip's kind of hard to understand because I haven't watched Over the Garden Wall in a while, but I think it's good analysis, so we can play this. In our discussion in the finale, we get into an interesting character, Sarah. So let's listen to this one.
I thought it was very interesting that we don't know what Sarah looks like. Sarah is in the Bumblebee costume, and then she's dressed up in her Halloween costume, but we never see Sarah. We don't see like Sarah fully, which is very interesting. Like that for me, that is the most interesting part of this whole. Like outside, like that I say outside, I guess technically the unknown would be the outside, but you know what I mean? Like this whole part that's separate from the unknown.
I agree with that. It was very interesting that Sarah was not, we never saw her face. It makes sense with what the show presents in episode 9, but also just is kind of symbolically something. I didn't connect it necessarily to Beatrice, which is a really good call on your part. We do learn to figure out what Beatrice looks like though. Yes. But not Sarah. Interesting. But I really like not seeing Sarah just on a level of, it's not necessarily about getting we're getting the pretty girl at the end, right? It's like, we don't even know what she looks like. She's kind of just a figure almost. Yeah.
Flashback to Over the Garden Wall. I would definitely need to rewatch that show.
No, me too. I got actually like, so one of my best friends, Maddie, I got her to watch Over the Garden Wall. Like, so I was in her dorm room and she has like a bunch of pictures. And I was like, oh, have you watched Over the Garden Wall? And she was like, no, I just liked it. And I was like, you fake, you poser. And then I convinced her to watch it because I knew it was something she would like. And then she loves it. Like, she adores it. And then I also, my girlfriend, Tanya, like this summer didn't have anything to do. And so I made her watch all of the shows basically that we cover. And she really enjoyed Over the Garden Wall. So like, I really want to rewatch it because now I have more people around me who've watched it, and like it's just a great show. And now it's Halloween. Like, what's better than watching Over the Garden Wall around Halloween?
Yeah, I think this podcast is coming out a few weeks after Halloween, but when we're recording this, this would be a great time to
it's perfectly spooky.
Yeah, get your Stranger Things season 2 and you're Over the Garden Wall. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, everyone loves Over the Garden Wall. By the way, Delaney, here's
so good.
Bonus clip from that same podcast. Andy found this one. I think this encapsulates our dynamic on the podcast.
It's really funny that I was like, why are there so many birds? Like, geez, and then at the end, it's like the Weasleys.
Why are there so many birds? No, yeah, there's so many.
I was waiting. I was like,
For context, we're very good friends, but
Yeah, I love that at the end for context.
Okay, no, that does. Okay, so I made a Harry Potter reference, and then like you immediately made fun of how I said birds.
Yeah,
like,
I was like, oh my god, this is the perfect encapsulation.
that is the perfect clip. Like that just sums Dylan and like that just sums our relationship up. Like that's it.
Yeah, I
think Harry Potter and making fun of how I talk.
Yeah, you kept going on that Weasley thing. I think I cut that out because it was
Of
like,
course I
It was
did.
like, what are we even talking about? But yeah,
I don't even. I do remember there were just being a lot of birds. Like I remember that.
I actually do remember that too. Okay.
I think that's with all the pumpkins. And like I'm just like, why are there so many birds?
Yeah.
Okay.
Montage of Delaney's pronunciations. That's another good one too. Maybe
Yeah, that was also like every time I say like a hard I, and then you make me mad. You keep irritating me, so it gets worse.
Yeah, this is the type of thing that's lost with so many people, but you know, it's okay. So trade-offs, I think.
That was like what was like when we cover it. Well, that was the thing. It's been different now because like we literally like cover like Miraculous Ladybug Voltron. Like it was just me and you.
Yeah.
And like we would just cover all these shows, and like so we'd have really good analysis, and then we'd also just be us roasting each other the entire podcast.
Yeah.
Like it'd be like whatever dumb thing like had happened previously, and like just being rude to, and then sometimes my favorite activity was like, and I still do this because it irritates Dylan, is like I'll make my greeting completely out of context.
Yes.
But only Dylan understands it, and it's the best.
Yes.
Like
very irritating from a hosting perspective.
it's so great. Oh, it's
so I have to be like, no one is, because the audience is gonna be like, what am I missing? So I have to be like,
It's
no
so
one
good.
understands this. Okay.
It's so good.
Yeah, that's
my favorite thing to do.
That still definitely happens. Yeah.
Oh, I do it all the time because it's so funny.
Yeah. I think maybe in this.
It's usually just to like see if Dylan will break.
Yeah. That's.
Which it happens sometimes. Like there was one I did. You're like, oh my god, like it's my favorite.
Yeah, that's true. We got to get the best of intros. That'd be a good one too. But
yes.
Okay, so Lainey, that's it. 500. Thank you for all of your service on the podcast, and here's to whatever X more. I'm not going to say 500. But, yeah.
Oh god.
Okay, let's bring in Justin and Michelle now to the 500th podcast celebration. Justin Cummings, Michelle Anderer. Hi, Justin. Hi, Michelle.
Hey.
Hi.
Yes, here together as they were intertwined for much of this podcast history.
Intertwined today.
Intertwined, yeah. But so we're going to be going over our favorite Michelle clips, our favorite Justin and Michelle clips, and then our favorite Justin clips. So Justin, well, first, like we can ask you both. 500 podcasts. What do you guys think of that?
It's pure insanity. It's been what, a little over 2 years.
Yeah, two years and a few months. 500 podcasts.
Oh,
how did we do it, Michelle?
Lots of persistence and an enormous output of content, like daily and weekly. So good job, us. This was a team effort for sure.
Definitely a team effort. Good job,
stupid
us.
summer of Steven is how this happened.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, that is the highest
was
output
alive.
per day. Yeah, definitely. We have some summer Steven clips here coming up, so good segue. But one might argue that the output was not worth it, but we're still going. Okay, we're still going.
We're committed to this.
We're pot committed. We're trying to make it happen. So let's start with some of our. Justin and Michelle came into the podcast at a similar time, and we're going to get to their dynamic. But first, let's get into some Just Michelle clips, although these are general. I got to warn you, both of these clips happen to focus on me.
What? Why?
Look,
why did you make this about you, Dylan?
Look, Michelle, you suggested one of these, so it's not my fault. One of these was your suggestion, and the other one was something that needed to happen. So let's start off here with August 9th, 2016, podcast 229 from the Back to the Moon discussion with you, me, and Sam, Michelle. So sometimes, Michelle, I get attached to crazy theories.
Yes. Oh, Yes.
And no theory was more prominent on this podcast than lion equals pink diamond. Well, I have found the origin story of this theory.
It made more sense back then, though.
Look, I have found the origin story of this theory on the podcast. You were involved when we were coming up with the clips on Facebook, so you know it's coming. I've found the origin story of this theory on the podcast, and you might be surprised who's arguing for and against it. So let's take a listen to this.
I mean, I have a friend, shout out to WikiGeek, and she suggested that the hair looks kind of like Lion's mane, and that maybe, crack theory, maybe Lion is Pink Diamond in a different form. Because if we go back to Rose's scabbard, like that whole conversation is like Rose kept secrets from everyone. Oh, like Lion's pink, he must have something to do with Rose. Like, what if that's it? Like, what if that's literally it?
The hair was the most notable thing to me.
Yeah.
So the reason that
which means Pink Diamond would have been in on it and been like, okay, well, I can't like exist as a diamond. Let's just pretend I'm dead, and then like I'll help Steven out. Kind of deal. This is.
I
think that's plausible.
This is appealing if you're a Pink Diamond is not shattered truther, which is now what you're called, Michelle.
Why truther? What is that? What the heck?
It's canon shattered. But if you want to say that Pink Diamond is not shattered, then you have to. And like I said, the crystal gems are definitely under the impression that Rose shattered her. So it has to be her keeping it a secret from them. And what's the other thing that Rose kept a secret from them? It's Lion. So if you correlate those two things, then that makes a lot of sense.
Oh, exactly. It's a lot of sense.
So, but that being said, like, how is Pink Diamond Lion? Is this her corrupted form?
I don't think so.
Is she like sentient, like within Lion? Is she just trapped in this form? Is she like, why does she care about Steven if that's the case?
She was bros with Rose Quartz.
You think this is all an act? You think Pink Diamond is in on it?
I like it.
Yeah, you like it, Sam? Good.
I like the idea that it's all an act. Yes.
Okay.
I'm selling. That's
I'm
so.
Buying up. I'm
that's
buying all
so crazy. Come on, that's so crazy.
But it's good. Yeah, I like it.
It makes sense within the information we've been given. And
why does Pink Diamond need to be Lion for like 5,000 years? Like,
she's Diamond. She's like super powerful. She could probably maintain that form. She's huge.
If you're Pink Diamond, why are you gonna choose to be Lion for 5,000 years? I mean,
she doesn't want to be like a ruler anymore, but she can't just like decide not to. That would be like way more of a problem to deal with. But being a martyr,
So is Pink Diamond the cool aunt or something? Is that what it is?
Like, cool Lion. She's cool Lion aunt.
Michelle, I was selling it and you were buying it.
Yeah.
What do you have to say for yourself here?
I mean, it did make a lot of sense, and there was so much has been built since then, and that's the thing. It's gotten less and less likely since that point onwards. But you've like stuck to your guns, which at this point seems inexcusable to me.
Inexcusable. Wow. Well, it
took a whole podcast to convince you, though. Like Sam was right on board with
I was
it,
selling, you and Sam were buying. This was a rare insight into before the Dylan character got obsessed with this theory. Man. Yeah, this was the rare.
Yeah, this is the beginning. This is the dawn of it all.
I remembered that you originally brought it up. I didn't remember that I didn't like it at first and you liked it. That's so good. It's
so much anger over this revelation, actually.
I know.
Because Michelle, the last year of my life has been fighting against Dylan on this point.
Justin, it's not. It's sorry. Michelle's fault. Yeah, it's
you created my. I know it's coming up later, and I have no remorse for the things I have said now. After what you created, the monster you spawned.
No.
I have no regret.
Yep.
I didn't know Dylan was going to be such like one of those people that when he gets his head in something, you cannot pull it out no matter how hard you try. I had to learn that the hard way along with you, Justin.
Yep. And if you're listening back 500 podcasts in the future, you're laughing about how this theory is true and Michelle
not a chance, man.
Yep. That's what's happening. Okay. So that's one of the best clips we've had. Oh my god, I can't believe it. Okay, wow. Here's another Steven Universe one. With Michelle, it's me, Delaney, and you. It's for the new Lars discussion. Podcast.
Oh, you love that one so much.
You suggested this. July 21st, 2016, podcast 211. During Summer of Steven, we talked about this episode. I'm way too excited about.
You are the most excited I have ever seen you.
These are two pinnacle Dylan podcast character origin stories. Yeah, about the latest Lars Bordy episode, and Michelle is loving it. So let's take a listen to this.
So yeah, I really like this episode.
Okay.
What do you think of it, Dylan?
Okay. I think that this is one of the best episodes of Steven Universe ever. Like, top 5. Like, this was so good. Holy crap.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so this is just perfect. Like, every single thing about this episode is perfect. It's incredibly subtle, like absurdly good characterization for Lars, absurdly good characterization for Steven, Sadie. I mean, this is an episode where like we have a thing where like we get like this this like thing where Sadie thinks that Lars is just trying to have sex with her, and like Steven is like kind of understanding what's going on, and then like we address it at the end, and it's just, oh my goodness, like what just
so
happened?
good.
This was like actually perfect television. This is the best use of the body swap trope I've seen ever. This is like one of the most common tropes. We'll talk about the ramifications this has for Steven's powers, but I honestly just think this is like, that's like not even the lead. But like,
It's not even the lead.
I don't even know what to say. Like, this is a perfect character episode. Like, this honestly is the closest I've seen to a 10 out of 10 television episode in a long time. It's so perfect for what it is. Like, I don't know if I'm just really hype right now for some other reason, but this seems very out of character and be loving the new Lars.
It does.
Okay, so there you go. Love. I still maintain that that's top 15 episode of Steven Universe.
It's just, it was such a surprise because me and Delaney were like, hey, like, what'd you think? Oh, I thought it was pretty okay. What'd you think? It's great. And then you came on, and usually, like, you're either, like, chill or, like, kind of tired because you've been doing a lot of podcasting. But you were like, hey, guys, like, what's going on? And we're like, what?
Yeah.
What is this? And you were just, like, so into it. I think you made me and Delaney like it a lot more because your energy was just, like, so up there for this episode.
That's good. Yeah, I was saving the reveal. Yeah.
I listened back to this podcast and genuinely felt replaced and hurt.
No.
Your optimism,
No.
I felt like you were stomping on who I was, and I genuinely felt robbed of that, Dylan.
Yeah, I can't encroach on the Justin character that much, so I had to revert back after, of course, yeah. Well, it was out of character, yeah. I glitched into Justin for a second, I think, but
I've glitched into you as well a couple of times, but yeah, that was not.
That's what happens.
The glitching has happened.
That's what happens
sides.
in 500 podcasts. But okay, so too much Dylan. Let's talk about Justin and Michelle, the one of our most prominent dynamics on the previous these 500 podcasts, and they've talked about many Steven Universe feedback and many Samurai Jack, and they've got into a lot of stuff. Those are the things we're going to get into specifically here. So Justin, what do you think of the Justin Michelle history on Overly Animated?
Is the OVA originals on here? Like when I first coined the term, the OVA originals?
Fat chance I'm pulling that clip.
That would have been if Justin got a pick, though.
Yeah, if Justin was running this, that would have been the first one he took out. Yeah, OVA originals. I didn't even remember that was a thing. So
I have no clue. Dylan, I worked so hard to make that a thing.
Yeah,
like, every episode,
so many times.
Every episode I bring it up. But no, like, okay, I'm gonna get really sappy.
Okay.
I've been listening to like From the Spirit World and Overly Animated since like middle school, and so when I actually got to come on and start blogging, it was when Michelle came on that like we got to do the roundtables.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Michelle, you made my dream of podcasting come true.
Aww.
Like, I did one show with Dylan. It was when you came on, like, this whole thing really started snowballing. So just thank you so much for letting me live out my dream. And just, you're the best.
No problem. It's been really fun to podcast with you. I didn't think about our dynamic for a bit until we had like more content of us. But then people started actually being like, oh, I really like Justin and Michelle. They're a fun pair. And I was like, oh, think we're a fun pair? That's cool. Yeah, we are a fun pair.
But yeah, you guys were the original co-host expansion that happened recently.
The original co-host expansion.
I was like, I'm not putting randos on, and then I got you two, and then it's like, sure, let's see, and they were great. So let's get into.
I know you didn't grab this episode, but Michelle, we have covered Ponyo. We have covered
we did
some Total Drama. Like we have covered.
Total Drama was fun, man. That's honestly one of the funnest times I had with you.
And like I think those are some of my favorite times. Like remember we did Girl Who Leapt Through Time.
Yeah,
like,
that was a good one.
We did some really, really great episodes.
Yeah, did not pull Total Drama clips, but that did happen several times.
Oh, that's too bad. I would have loved talking about Chef Hatchet for like half an hour.
Yeah, half-hour clip.
Did.
Yeah, that's
he was so good.
Okay, but here's what I've got for the first Justin Michelle clip. This is a highly requested clip here. It's the two of you from the listener feedback for Buddy's book.
Oh my god, this is the podcast.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
August 19th, 2016, podcast 236. Justin and Michelle took your questions on a lot of Steven Universe feedback shows, including a theory that Justin seemed to really like. So.
Oh, you were selling it. Oh,
Let's
man.
listen.
My first ever hosting, by the way.
This was your first hosting podcast?
I think either
we'll
first or second.
We'll check the record.
It was for
Okay,
the first
that
few.
adds some context to this, but let's take a listen. Okay.
I think it's time for my favorite question.
Okay, let's hear it.
All right. So, what if Rose turned her human lovers into lions to keep them all alive forever?
Who came up with that?
Anonymous.
Who
And
did
I love
that?
you, Anonymous. If you're
What
listening,
the heck?
I want you to message me so we can talk about how great this is.
This is so crazy.
I love it because Rose would do that.
She would not. She'd not turn humans, let alone like lovers into lions.
Yes! They get old, they would die. She's like, boom, magical lion, join the army. Come be with my pride.
You think she did it to stop them from dying?
Yes.
Okay, so how's that theory worked out?
For the record, I was so right about the stop them from dying part.
Yeah,
I was
that's
wrong
true.
about the lovers,
man.
probably, but
Yeah.
You were halfway there. We can give you that.
I think
furthermore, this person messaged me again and
Oh, did they
said,
seriously?
still anonymous, and they said, I am glad that my legacy will forever be the Rose's lion lover theory.
Yes.
I still have no clue who it was, but they will live on forever.
You were like so in it to win it though. Like I was just like I could not. Of course you kept that for last looking back because it's like so crazy. It had to be the last thing we ended with, but I was just so blown away. And the fact that you like kept staying on, like no, this is the proof. This is why it makes sense. I was just dying. It was so amazing and so bad at the same time.
That quote right there, that was the first time it was just us on a podcast. And I think that solidified the dynamic forever.
Yeah, I think so. Like, honestly.
Well, that started the nonsense, and it only escalated from there because I have a legendary podcast to share next, and I got to give a not safe for work warning quickly before this.
I know what it is.
Yeah. So just be warned. This is I generally tried to take stuff not from this calendar year. I was focusing more on the older stuff, but this had to make it in April 13th, 2017. Justin and Michelle covering whatever XCVII from Samurai Jack is, podcast 357. During their recap of an episode of the new season of Samurai Jack, Justin and Michelle say a particular word way too often, and our patron Hugh compiled a montage of it. So thank you, Hugh, for making this montage. Let's take a listen to the montage.
Penis.
Yeah.
Penis. Because you can't say penis.
Penis.
Talking penis.
Yes. Talking penis.
Hashtag
I think it's
talking
only
penis.
fair.
Penis. Hashtag penis.
Penis. That man's head looked like a penis. Penis. The Penis Podcast. Penis.
People would be intrigued by the title and then be severely disappointed.
Penis. I think if we were to not say penis, it'd be weird. Penis.
Oh, well, no.
Penis.
Penis.
Fans, if you're listening, can we get an official penis count for this podcast? Penises.
Yeah. Oh my. Justin, you're just like giving them more things to count. Why would you do that?
Because I want to keep our fans mentally sharp. Penis.
If you say it one more time, penis.
I'm assuming dick is allowed to be said. Penis. Penises.
Wow.
It's shocking how long that is.
What? How many? What was the count? What was the
It's
official
like
count?
47, 48.
Oh, we were so close.
Almost hit 50.
Yeah.
We over under 50 for that. That was... Dylan, I didn't think you'd pull it. I didn't think you'd use it, but that is one of the most iconic... It's like the lion lover theory, then the penis episode. Like,
Yeah, it had to be included, and it was already edited for me, so it got right in here.
It was perfect. Yeah.
Michelle is the reaction master. I think that's what we're determining here.
What? Justin was so, like, he said it so seriously, though. That was what killed it. And, like, oh, man. Samurai Jack was really fun, too, though. Like, a lot of stuff happened that we were expecting. A lot of things happened that we got really angry about. So we had a lot of feelings the whole time. So it was a good time.
And that was the first time, Dylan, you gave me basically my own show
Yeah,
and gave me the reins.
Yeah.
And like that was my baby. And like Michelle, thank you for doing that with me. Like that was our show.
It was so fun.
And that continued the dynamic, and also it kind of let us. It was nice to cut loose for a little while with the TV-14 rating and just really. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, you guys. Yeah, you definitely took advantage of it in that clip. So that's for sure. Okay, let's take let's get into just some Justin clips now to close things out.
Oh boy,
Justin! Yeah, Justin.
Yeah, our most frequent host besides Dylan. Big place in overly animated history. I have 2 clips of just us, Justin, me and you, and yeah, there's not that many. I didn't take Survivor clips, but that would be what I would want to take. But I don't think anyone wants to hear that. But we have 2 Steven Universe clips. This first one is from April 8th.
It's not what I think it is it?
From April 8th, 2016, from How Steven Works, the Roundtable.
Yay! Okay, I've heard about this, but never listened to it, so I'm intrigued.
The legendary How Steven Works podcast. Yeah, Justin and I get really in depth into the mechanics behind Steven's conception in this.
I'm crying by the end. My head hurts so bad.
There was a lot. Yeah, Andy was going through this. There's a lot of clips you could take from this. You could listen to the whole thing. I just chose this 1-minute clip, so let's listen to this.
I don't think the show would ever explicitly talk about this. So it just doesn't make any sense how a gem would be able to have sex with a human and then have a child.
Oh,
right?
Man.
But I guess it kind of makes sense.
Shape-shifting, it makes perfect sense.
If she's able to just shape-shift the requisite parts. I think that's not doing credit enough to the wonders of childbirth. It's more, I think there's more moving parts than that. But I guess you could say just shape-shifting. That's how it's gonna happen.
We have sentient space rocks. I think we can kind of just go with it on this one.
Sentient space rocks can't just crossbreed with humans though.
We've never tried.
Well, there's not.
Oh, God.
That's hurdle number 1. Hurdle number 2 would be there's no such thing as sentient space rocks. I'm sorry.
We've never tried to find them.
I'm sorry to break it to you. I think we are trying to find them. I think that's what NASA's doing, right? They're just Steven Universe fans, and then they're sending out Okay. Anyway. Okay.
Wow.
That was yeah. And that's not even the whole thing. Yeah, so it keeps going.
That's not when I literally just have a breakdown on the podcast crying.
What happened?
I just get so confused because Dylan is refuting all of my points, and it's just me desperately clinging to straws of some semblance of humanity.
Yeah, there's one point Andy found too when Justin just broken and he just doesn't understand what to say. Yeah, it's pretty good. Listen to that whole podcast.
It's a great podcast for everyone except Justin. If you're listening, it's great. If you're Dylan, it's great. Yeah. If you're me, it's horrendous.
If you're a gem historian, I don't know, trying to figure that out, then I don't know. Maybe we helped, but I don't think we cracked the code. We'll keep trying. We need a follow up too to that topic. Anyway,
you mean shattered the code?
Shattered the code, I guess so. So let's close things out with something more serious here, Justin. Another Steven Universe discussion. This is the listener feedback. I guess I stepped in on this one for Super Watermelon Island and Gem Drill. May 14th, 2016, podcast 162. Justin and I get into whether Steven Universe is not serious, but analysis series. Justin and I get into whether Steven Universe's self-imposed rule of seeing things from Steven's perspective is limiting the show.
Do you think this is hurting the show, having to so strictly stay to this Steven narrative requirement?
At one point I did, because I thought it would be so cool to kind of break from it. But honestly, I think it's pushing them narratively. They're having to come up with creative solutions to this. And I think I'd rather see these creative ideas as opposed to they break that rule one time. Because once they break that rule, it doesn't have to be from Steven's perspective. They can go to the complete other extreme of Adventure Time, where we might get 10 episodes in a row and never see our main character. And I don't want that to happen. So I think I'd prefer them keep the rule, but find creative ways to kind of exploit it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great contrast to bring up Adventure Time. I do think that there's good and bad. I think we're seeing the bad in this episode in that it provides narrative constraints that impact the storytelling. I think maybe we'd ultimately have Steven here. Maybe we wouldn't. Maybe they would have done this anyway. But they're writing around it, and I think that's probably a bad thing. But that being said, they're coming up with creative solutions, and it leads to kind of really interesting things like the Watermelon Steven working. So, it's not clearly a negative on the show right now because they've done it so well to this point, but you could argue that it's limiting them from exploring the narrative to the fullest extent.
Yeah.
Still a relevant topic today.
Yeah.
We could have a whole podcast on that topic. It's very interesting. So there you go. Hashtag analysis to close things out. Justin, Michelle, 500 final thoughts. What do you think?
I mean, listening to everything kind of makes me, in a way, miss doing stuff with Justin, though.
Oh.
Are you busy, Justin?
I'm not.
Why haven't we done anything in
I'm
months?
not super busy. We could do more stuff. Let me know.
Can we do more Total Drama? Because we only got
asking
to the
for
first
more Total
13.
Drama. Oh my god!
You know what?
No,
Yeah,
it's fun though.
I don't
Justin
think I can
knows
go
a
back
lot.
and do all the articles, but I would be happy to do more of the podcast with you.
Yeah, sure. I would be
Because
down
they have
for that.
announced the new season.
5 people are very excited right now by
Yeah.
Hey, one of those 5 people is really
Yeah.
awesome. So
Okay.
Because you're one of those 5 people.
no, I have this one person who loves our Total Drama coverage, and
Oh, really?
is very happy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
great. Then we have to. We got a fan.
I definitely welcome more Justin Michelle podcasts. So, happy 500th to both of you.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yay.
Okay, that's it. Just Dylan again here to close things out. So, thanks for listening to this, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. And since it's the end of a milestone podcast, I'd like to give my big thank you speech as usual. But no time more so to do this than our 500th podcast. So I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who's been involved with Overly Animated in any capacity, from our hosts and co-hosts, the Sam, Delaney, Justin, Michelle, who you heard today, the new co-hosts and new hosts, the From the Spirit World Legacy hosts. Thank you so much to anyone who's ever been on a podcast. Thank you to anyone who's supported us in any way, from our patrons to people who just follow us, to people who've left reviews, to even people who just listen. Like, all of you do so much to contribute to getting us to where we are today. It's crazy that we're just a purely amateur podcast, and we've gotten this far, and hopefully just continue to go down that path. So we're going to keep going strong here, and of course the big patron plea here, the best way to support us. We really don't make a lot of money here, and 90% of it comes from our patrons. And so patreon.com/overlyanimated is where you can find that. And our patrons are just so integral to the success of this podcast. Like, we literally would not be still going. I would have stopped if we didn't have the support from these great patrons. So I thank them all each individually. Thank you so much, past and present patrons. I don't have the list of the past patrons here, but you guys are not forgotten. Thanks to our current patrons: Mitch, Beatrice, Jamie, Rachel, John, Ryan, Taylor, Jade, John, Phoenician, Katrin, Steve, Alex, Lily, Hugh, Michael, Connie, Andy, Brendan, Hope, Kent, Lucas, Otaku Guy, Eric, Xavier, and Damien. Thank you so much, aka, because we have our patron nicknames: Fever Mitch, Beatrix O'Stange, Mailman, Rachel Rose, Jenny Raba, Brian, Needle, Jewel, Garfield, Fusion, Patron Katrin, Freaking Commenter, Steve, Esteban Universidad, Panda Lily, Hugh Neutron, Wazowski, Veronica Kukumunga, Buzz Lightyear, Kells, Katara, Kent Brockman, Rocco, Podcast Addict, Diamond Day. Thank you so much, guys. And to anyone listening who has been thinking about becoming a patron, we would, of course, appreciate it so much. Financial support, of course, not needed. I understand that not everyone can contribute, but if you can, patreon.com/overlyanimated. And we also have a nice behind the scenes community on Facebook, which is great, so you could join that too. But yeah, so of course, also another great way in honor of the 500th podcast, leave us an iTunes review. Find our main feed, overlyanimated.com/iTunes. Those iTunes reviews genuinely do help us a lot, and we've had more success on iTunes recently, and more visibility through the iTunes reviews would go a long way. So thank you if you do that. Thanks to everyone who's listened, and as I said, thanks to everyone who's supported us or interacted with us in any way. I've gotten to know so many of you guys through this podcast and through From the Spirit World, and it's been great. And we recently launched this Discord to hopefully foster community in more of a way, like a public Discord as opposed to our Patreon exclusive Facebook group, which is also still going. But overlyanimated.com/Discord if you want to join us and talk on Discord. I think that's been a pretty big success, and we have a lot of great discussions there. So thanks everyone. Hope you enjoyed this clip show. Hope you enjoyed taking a look back on the years throughout Overly Animated. Thanks so much for listening. Been a crazy first 500 podcasts, and we're gonna keep going strong. No delay. Just gonna keep going as it is. Here's the next 500. Bye.